Yeah, let's see here. All right. Well, early morning. Probably like you guys. Uh, Disappointed on the outcome of last night's game with the Bills and the Chiefs. In coaching, there's a lot more ways to lose a game than there is to win a game, and I feel bad for Sean McDermott this morning because he has to answer a lot of questions. And you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You kick it to Tyreek Hill and runs it back. You're a bad coach. You don't kick it to Tyreek Hill and you're a bad coach. And tough one. I felt for Josh, and man, what a game. But moving forward, continued our trek of our fifth game in about 11 days coming up here, and excited to go to Boise later. But it's a reason why you play college basketball. It's a reason why you put in the time and the effort that you do to where you have an opportunity to play in a game like this where you go to, I guess it's not Taco Bell Arena anymore. It's whatever it is. But to have the opportunity to go there, probably play in front of a really good crowd against a team that's playing as well as anybody in the country right now. I mean, defensively, even though watching that game against San Diego State was for anybody that was an offensive, to be watching offense, it was hard to watch. But I mean, the defense was so good that it made the offense look bad. And and that's the thing with this team. I mean, Leon, they got, their identity is on the defensive end. I mean, and then the way they're playing right now, I mean, you can tell. I mean, they're really believing that they're an elite defensive team, which if you see the numbers, that's what they are. They have not just from a conceptual and a tactical standpoint, but they have a toughness and a resiliency to them that's kind of built over the course of this winning streak. And it's going to be a 12-round fight, and our guys know that. And our guys have been prepared. It's not like we're just going to show up and become a different team. I mean, we've prepared ourselves to be in these situations against a top team in the league, and it's going to be a great game. And guys are looking forward to it. Luckily, we prepared ourselves the last time we were so supposed to play, so it's not like it's we're having to do a lot of things. We kind of understand what they do. I mean, they understand what we do, and in a lot of ways we mirror each other, especially from an offensive standpoint. Acott, a lot like Maldo, never didn't start his career out as a point guard. I mean, a bigger wing that's kind of morphed into a point. They put Acott, they put Key-Jab into a lot of dribble downs like we do with Maldo. They try to get the ball into the post to Armoose, although Armoose does a lot of his damage on the offensive glass. I mean, he's an elite rebounder. And then you got a guy like Shavers, who a lot like Drake and our shooters. I mean, he's a guy that if you don't guard him right, I mean, he's gonna, he'll go make 5 or 6 threes. And so they just got a team that really knows who they are. They know their roles, and they just grind on you. And so I think we're two very similar teams, and it's it's going to be a heavyweight title fight on Tuesday.
Jeff, you kind of
go ahead.
You kind of alluded to it, but you guys scored 93 on Saturday, and I think Boise and San Diego combined for 79 or something like that. What kind of tempo are you expecting, or what kind of tempo would you like in this game to try to get the road win?
Well, I mean, our game, I mean, it's each game presents, a different pace to it. I mean, last year against San Jose State, we scored 190 points and then turned around and slowed down and against San Diego State and didn't run offense till about 18 seconds on the shot clock. But, from a pace standpoint, if you look at the numbers, I mean, we both play really at a similar pace. I mean, it's going to be somewhere between a 65 to 70 possession game on both ends. And I don't see anything really changing. The San Diego State game, it wasn't from a lack of possessions. It was just from a lack of the ball going in the basket. But their defense had a lot to do with that. So, I'm not expecting, it's not going to be a fast game because neither team plays, neither team plays fast. Now, the thing with them is, with their length and their athleticism, is that you really got to minimize, you got to really minimize them getting out in transition off of turnovers and block shots. That's the thing that if you allow them to get out and transition and get some easy baskets off their defense, then that's when they can really start scoring points. And so those, us running good offense and not allowing them to get out and transition, and then being able to keep them off the offensive glass once that first shot goes up is going to be, the big keys for the game.
Jeff, this is your first trip back to Boise. What does this one mean to you personally?
You know what, to be honest with you, I mean, it's been so far removed. I was back in Boise when I was at Northern Colorado with the Big Sky tournament. I've actually been on that other side of the bench when I was at the University of San Francisco as an assistant. We went and played at Boise. I think it was Greg Graham's last year back in like 08 or 09 before I went to Boise, and actually went into Boise and made about 16 threes and beat them that night. And so at least I know what the other locker room looks like. I know what it feels like to be on that other side, but have a lot of good memories in there. And it's going to be, it'll be interesting. It'll just be different. But, once the ball gets thrown up, I mean, nobody in that arena, probably except for a few people, remember that I was there. And so just got to go figure out how to win that game.
Hey, Jeff, how are X and Kenny progressing? Is there a chance we might see them out there tomorrow?
Well, when Kenny was out there, I mean, Kenny was available for Saturday's game, but at the same time, I mean, him coming off, all his stuff. I mean, he wasn't quite, he's not in terms of conditioning. Now we could have played him if we needed to, but Kenny is available, ready to go. X is still, he's probably to be determined, most likely, probably not, but there's a chance. I mean, he's actually starting to work out some, but those hamstrings are funny. I mean, you just never know. I mean, he could come out today and say, hey, I can move around good enough, but as of right now, it's to be determined.
Jeff, what's changed the most about Boise State since Dutriev's been relieved of his duties?
Well, I just think it just, as I said before we played them the first time, is that now they know, I mean, they don't play. They play basically seven, they got 7 guys they play the majority of the time. They'll throw in an 8th guy in there with Milner. But those 7 guys, I mean, they know they're going to play. They know their roles. They know what they need to do. And so, I mean, I just think the roles have been really defined. I mean, Degenhart, as a freshman, doesn't play like a freshman in terms of just his effort, discipline. They're just, like I said, they just got a different level of toughness and the togetherness. I think that's the thing that you can really see as it's kind of made its way, is that they're a lot tighter group, probably not as many agendas, and they're an old team. I mean, they might be the oldest team in the country when you're looking at 1 through 7. If you take Degenhart out of the equation, I mean, the average age, of those other 6 guys is probably, I mean, you're probably at least 23. And so, I mean, you're talking about one of the older teams in the country, and guys that have, when you're talking about 5th or 6th year seniors, guys that have probably gotten past, if they've been in college this long, they've gotten past all the BS, behind the scenes of people telling them that they're this, that, and another. And they've kind of probably realized that, hey, this is who I am. And this is what I need to do to be successful, to play at this level. And they can start ignoring the noise and just, start, just focusing on winning. And sometimes, I mean, that's the hardest thing sometimes to do in this day and age, is to get 18 to 22-year-olds to ignore the noise and ignore the BS behind the scenes, and to be able to just focus on, how do you become a winning basketball player? And I think, that's what they have.
Speaking of winning, how does it feel to start the Mountain West 4-0 like this?
Well, I mean, it's better than the alternative of being any other record. So, but 4-0, and we still got a long ways to go. And that's where I told my guys, and it's, I showed them some clips of the New Mexico game where it's, we got to continue to get better, because, we're 4-0, but, you could also be 0-4. I mean, it's a small margin in this league. I mean, there's not, I mean, San Jose was a 1-possession game with about 8 minutes left. New Mexico was a 1-possession game. Boise's been, in their last 4 games, for the most part, have been down to the wire. Whether that was with San Diego State, Utah State, Air Force, the last minute of that game, I mean, it was a 1-possession game. And then even at New Mexico, I mean, there was kind of a 10-point cushion, and then it kind of got tight towards the end when New Mexico went hack-a-shack and put them on the foul line, because they are not a very good free throw shooting team. And so we just got to continue to, you have to worry about the other team, but we got to keep focusing on us and making sure that, we continue to find ways to get better. And, as I always tell the guys too, that this time of year, as you get towards February, there's you almost are who your record is. And then there's a lot of teams too that just, it just becomes too hard, or they're tired of the season, tired of the coaches, tired of each other, and teams quit every day. And there's 357, 58 Division I teams, and teams quit every day. This is too much. Let's let the season be over with. Luckily for us, being 15-2, 4-0, we have a lot of, we show up every day ready to go, and but we have to continue to find ways to get better. And it's not about adding new plays. It's not about any tricks. It's just, can we continue to build on our discipline and effort? And that's what we need to focus on.
After watching the film on New Mexico, Jeff, what stood out to you as far as giving up that many points?
Styles make fights, and I told you guys, you look at their record, and their talent is not indicative of what their record is. Those two guards, House and Mashburn, those are probably the two quickest, fastest guards that we've faced all year. That includes Arizona, South Florida, Stanford. It's not even close. And so their team that's played everybody close. That was Colorado State the night before, or 2 days before, was that was down to the wire as well. It was the same game. And so, but I thought our guys did a really good job of following the game plan. We knew that we had an advantage inside with Graham and Maldo. And, for us to shoot 72% in the second half, that was, you just have to find a way sometimes. It's never going to be one way or the other, but there's some things that, we definitely need to shore up from a defensive standpoint. But sometimes, you kind of have to take what the game gives you, and thankfully we found a way to win it.
Still a few days away, but what are just your overall thoughts on what you've seen from Air Force? Seems like they've really kind of exceeded expectations so far this year.
Yeah, and not having watched them a lot, but I know from the little that I have seen, they've, Coach Scott does a really good job of, they run that system, they run the Princeton, the matchup zone. The teams that, and some of the teams they played, some of the first year coaches in the league, sometimes the first time you have to go up against that or have to go to the Springs to play. It can surprise you, but they got some young guys that are playing well. You have AJ, who's, one of the better guards in the league that's been around forever. And so, it's one of those games where you're going to have to scrap everything that you've worked on all year. It's like playing them in football. They're very unique, and, they got to have your full attention. And so luckily we'll, after this game, we'll have at least a couple days to kind of get dialed into what they do. But it's never easy going down there, and, not looking forward to having to prep for the way we have to prep for that game.